السلام عليكم ورحمة الله عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين المنتجبين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. For the hastening the return of our Imam, let's recite the salawat. In the establishment of Islam in the world, in the globe, throughout the world, there's a form of evolution that occurs. Not in Islam itself. Islam does not evolve. Islam, which is the religion revealed upon the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa given to us by that Prophet, by Amir al-Mu'mineen, by Imam Hassan, by Imam al-Hussein, by the Lady Fatima al-Zahra, and the Imams throughout the 250 years of their presence and the 70 or so years of the minor occultation, that Islam which was revealed was presented. Islam as a religion does not evolve. Let me make this point very clear so that the other point becomes, when we're talking about the establishment of it going through an evolution, that becomes clear and we don't get confused here. Because there are some who are presenting another perspective here. There is an unfortunate effort to try to present a theory suggesting that Islam should evolve. Islam should change. Islam should be something that is fluid, it is liquid, it transforms based on how society transforms. If 1400 years the matter of the women's rights was established by Islam in a particular way, where inheritance is given to women in a certain distribution portion, there's a difference between the portion that a male and a female generally, it doesn't apply to every single case. But for example, the children of a person who passes on, male or female, the children will receive portions of that inheritance. Before Islam, there was no portion for the female. When Islam came, Islam said males receive twice. In other words, the son receives twice the share of a daughter. That's presented 1400 years ago. Some are of the opinion that Islam should evolve, it should change. That's for 1400 years ago. There were no rights for women. Islam came, it started a process of presenting justice, going against discrimination, and so it established a portion for women. But now that we have come to where we are today, then that needs to change. That is unfair. Men and women work equally. They pay the bills equally. They provide funds equally. And they should receive inheritance equally and rights equally. All the rights. That's one example. Another example is the Penal Code of Islam. So, well, the Penal Code of Islam made sense 1400 years ago. And during that time, it was very brutal, and the only way to get people, I guess, to stop doing the wrong that they were doing was to have very harsh punishments, chopping off fingers, stoning, lashing, and so on. All that's outdated. Society has changed. We shouldn't have any of that. There is a notion, there are people that are promoting this, unfortunately, from within the Muslim community. Some are a little more outward about it, they are more militant about it, and there are others who are hinting towards that. Let's be very clear. The definition of Islam is not peace. Whoever made that up, they will have to answer to Allah. Islam is babul if'al. It means submission to Allah. That's the definition of Islam. Al-Islam huwa at-taslim. When it says in the Holy Quran, إِنَّمَا الدِّينَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ al-Islam, some people have misunderstood that. They think that the name Islam, they think previous religions are called Christianity, Judaism, this, that, the other. But then the Quran says from the beginning it was Islam. What does that even mean? No. إِنَّ الدِّينَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ al-Islam, submission to Allah. If during the time of Prophet Nuh, God said, worship in this particular way, if you lived at that time, you would have had to submit to that. That is Islam. Praying in that way is Islam. At the time of Ibrahim, Allah said, you pray in the direction of the Holy Land. For the children of Ishaq and Yaqub and Banu Israel in general. Your direction is, Islam is what? Submission is what? Face that direction when it comes to prayer. The Prophet comes, initially he's told what direction to pray. Jerusalem. Pray towards Jerusalem. Then within that religion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, now I want you guys to change. Pray from Medina, if you check the map, they'll be praying north to face Jerusalem. In one prayer, they had to go the opposite direction. Start praying towards the Kaaba. Baytullah al-Haram, al-Bayt al-Atiq. إن أول بيت وضع للناس للذي ببكة مباركة. You face that. What's taslim now? What's Islam now? What's submission? Change. Whenever God said face that direction, you face that direction. When He says face this direction, you face this direction. It's mentioned in the Holy Quran. The name Islam means that, and the topic of the Qibla, this is mentioned very clearly. لَيْسَ الْبِرْ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ قِبَلَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ. It's not this direction or that direction. That's not what makes you righteous, to pray towards Jerusalem or pray in this other direction. وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرَّ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ. It's Iman, accepting Allah as the Lord, accepting Him as the Ilah, accepting Him as the one who sets laws, and then submitting to that. Islam doesn't evolve. The religion, we have numerous hadith. The Prophet was mentioned in the Quran. Khatamun Nabiyyin, the seal of prophets. There is no prophet afterwards, which means the message delivered, the law is given. They're all going to remain until the day of judgment. There's no evolution with that. Nothing will change. And a list of ahadith. Halalu Muhammadin halalun ila yawm al-qiyamah. Or haramu haramun ila yawm al-qiyamah. There's no change. Religion doesn't evolve. Islam doesn't evolve. We can't make those alterations or changes in the religion based on the way we feel. But the establishment of Islam in the Ummah amongst people, that does go through an evolution. In other words, this is not talking about the religion itself as revealed on the Prophet, the pure message of Islam. It's about the Ummah training itself, developing this or themselves to where that nur, that message, that pure teaching of Islam becomes part of them 100%. Are we where we can say Islam is being implemented 100%? Are we where we can say that the Ummah of the Prophet understands even, forget about the implementation on the practical side, understanding Islam? Are we able to process and understand all the intricacies, all the depths of the verses of the Quran, the sayings of the Prophet? إلهي هب لي كمال الانقطاع إليك. What does that mean? Do we understand that? Have we gotten to where we understand it? No. Are we where we are implementing Islam fully? No. On an individual level, that's one thing. We're not discussing that. The Ummah. The Ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, recite salawat. Started in Mecca, then established a government in Medina. It started spreading. However, the change that occurred, which did change the Arabian culture from what it was to move in the direction of Islam. However, the people over the course of the 23 years didn't, even in that small portion of the globe, because Islam is not for only that area. Islam was never intended for that area. Islam was always intended for the whole globe. هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا. ليظهره على الدين كله. It will prevail over all religions. It was never intended for that part. Even in that part of the world where they had accepted the Prophet, they accepted Islam. Over the course of 23 years, did they understand everything fully? Did they implement everything fully? One of the major rules of Islam was اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم يا أيها الرسول بلغ ما أنزل إليك من ربك. As hadith says, في عليا. It was one of the most important things, and it was given to the people when, at apparently the peak of their maturity, it was mentioned after 23 years. Now, so many people are believing in the Prophet. He is emerged as a leader, as a prophet in the eyes of the people. He was always a prophet. He was a Rasul from 23 years before. But more and more people were able to understand this, believe in it, accept it. Right? As a community, this is the most mature point in the history of Islam. Hajjatul Wada. The Prophet gives them the most important teaching. After me, this should continue. What do the people do? They failed. They didn't implement that. They moved in a different direction, in different ways. On the matter of leadership in one way, on the matter of discrimination, Islam is all about justice. Discrimination started shortly after the demise of the Prophet, which leads to corruption, more and more of it. Changes and alterations in prayer. In other teachings of Islam, these all started right after the demise of the Prophet. These are examples. This is to tell us that it's like a tree that is going to grow. There's an initial stage of its development, and then it starts growing bigger and bigger. This, according to some, the term evolution can be used. The Ummah has evolved. Where the Ummah was in the year 10 after the Hijrah, where the Ummah was at the year 61 after the Hijrah, where the Ummah was at the year 260 after the Hijrah, and where the Ummah was at the year 1000 after the Hijrah, and now, today, the Ummah has gone through an evolution. It's been going through an evolution. Moving in what direction? Moving towards completion. It's perfecting itself. The Ummah is moving in that direction. Led by the Imam. Okay. Always led by the Imams. That's what the definition of an imam. That's what an imam does. Recite salawat, please. What we want to discuss briefly here is the role of Imam al-Hussein in this evolution. Imam al-Hussein had a very important role in the evolution process. The movement of Karbala, the sacrifice of Imam al-Hussein, the sacrifice of his companions, had a very important role in the evolution. Not in that particular moment in time. It didn't create a change or do something right there and then only that just remained there and it had an effect that didn't continue. Imam al-Hussein's movement, his sacrifice, had an impact on the Ummah, on the evolution of the Ummah, that caused a change from that point onwards, and it will until the coming of the Imam of our time. We want to talk about this idea a little bit and perhaps scratch the surface of the topic for those who want to continue reading and thinking about this and understanding this, to appreciate the Ahlul Bayt. And also, once we understand what they did, what that objective was, what type of impact they wanted to have on the Ummah, and it's been having it, but then once we pick up on that, we realize that as the followers of that Imam, we would want to help and make sure that we do our share to have more of an effect in that direction that the Imam wanted. Recite salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. There are many ways that this can be discussed. Over the last few nights, we've talked about certain aspects of what Imam al-Hussein did and the effect that it had. I don't want to discuss those again, those aspects. If you think about them, you will probably be able to identify them as elements of change that he brought, not for that particular time frame, but he impacted the Ummah all the way up to today, and those can be brought as part of this topic as well. There's another aspect that we want to talk about. The Umayyads, that after the period of what is called the Khulafa al-Rashidin, they started this governance of Mulukiyya, kingdom, really they started, in the name of Islam. What they were trying to do, what Muawiyah tried to do, in a very effective way, was to present his version of Islam, his version of governance, his version of prayer, his version of the ma'arif, his version of everything. Present that as Islam. I hope I'm able to, in the brief moments we have, explain this. There's a time where, for example, you have Al Saud, la'natullah alayhim, ruling in Arabia currently, right? They claim to be khulafa as well, apparently. They're Malik, but they say that people need to pledge allegiance. There's a process of bay'ah and so on and so forth. It has an Islamic touch to it, correct? However, they don't try to present a different version of Islam themselves. They're not capable of it. They haven't been able to, they haven't even tried to, the way I'm going to explain. I'll explain when we do that comparison, we will see. The Quran is there. The Majami' al-Riwa'i are there. They didn't recreate something called Sahih Muslim or Sahih Bukhari or any of that. We're talking Sunni Islam, obviously. They didn't create any of that. All the books of fiqh, all the books of riwayah, all the books of aqidah, all the books of all these different disciplines in Islam are already there. One slight interpretation, this little difference that was this Wahhabism that has emerged, they didn't create new books of hadith or new Quran or new book of theology or any of that. They tried to present a different interpretation, which they tried to piggyback off of Ibn Taymiyyah. And then they used all of what they had as a government to make sure that only that interpretation of Islam is taught first in Arabia and then across the globe. They spent a lot of money on this. The problem, however, with this for them is, again, the roots of Islam are already there. They're already established. The Quran is already there. It's already preserved. The books of hadith are already there. They've already been established. The majama' are already there. So as much as they pushed and as much as they pumped money into this, we see that other variations, other interpretations of even Sunni Islam remain. And now, at this stage, we see these other interpretations, which are the more traditional interpretations of Islam, are becoming more prominent. Different factors involved in this. When you look at what Muawiyah tried to do, particularly him, and this is important because this is what precedes Imam al-Hussein, and what Imam al-Hussein did had a very strong impact on this idea here. Muawiyah is still at a time where the ahadith of the Holy Prophet have not been compiled in organized books and writings. Some of the Shia of the Ahlul Bayt, upon the command of Amir al-Mu'mineen, were able to write certain books, like Kitabu Sulaym ibn Qais al-Hilali. He's one of the companions of the Imam. He writes something, but it's not widespread. People don't have access to this book. The Sahabi of the Prophet are still around, some of them. But the sayings of the Prophet, the general public, the believers have not generally heard. I'll give you one example. Amir al-Mu'mineen, in his period of Khilafah in Kufa, he talked to the people about the incident of Ghadir. Now, Ghadir was something that a large number of people had seen. You would expect 40 years after the Hijrah, approximately, that people would know about this incident. Amir al-Mu'mineen talks about it, and then just to make people realize or be confident that this actually occurred, he asked the companions who were present in Ghadir and were present now in the Jami' of Kufa to stand up and testify.